boy. Breaking my arm as a boy. My first break, a broken arm.
Hey, I can tell that one.
Yeah, and then I could pan into the story of the cave, the story of the cave, the story of the lake. The story you've heard about. Did I ever tell you the story of the lake?
No, tell me that
About the
one.
kid, our childhood friend. Well, every year this lake was formed. These guys would break the dam, and the little hole, the water that would escape from the dam before they could fix it, would trickle down the mountain and stop at the city dump. And the water, there'd be a lake right by the city dump, and we didn't ever feel like swimming in it until we saw a couch sitting right in the middle of the lake, floating. It was a floating couch in the middle of this lake. Must have washed in from the dump or something. But we all just said, all right, that's it. We all had limited swimming skills, probably 12, 13 years old. And so we all swam out to the sofa. It was a sofa, and the water was ice cold mountain snow runoff. So we made it to the floating lounge, floating, what do you call it, ottoman. I mean, it was a couch like as big as the one you're sitting in over there. And it was floating. I don't know what was in it, but the water that was puddled up in it was warm. So once we swam through that cold water, to get to it, once we got in there, it was oh yeah, okay, not bad. We could stand that. We could stand it. So that was a beautiful day. I think we just went out and swam a while, and then it was time to go home. You go home, take a shower, whatever. It's a new day. Uh, but then we came back sooner or later, a day or two, who knows. But then there was a raft. Someone had built a little floating platform with a couple of pieces of plywood, and I don't know what they had for beams, or I don't even know what they had for flotation. All I know is the thing floated, and it was a trippy little thing, about a square, about 8, 10 feet around, a piece of plywood. But we all get on it, and it's a beautiful July, just beautiful sunshine day, warm outside, cold water, and these things in the lake. There was these giant, looked like underwater mosquitoes, probably 2 inches across, like skeeters. There used to be, we call them skeeters, that would skim across the pond. They're about 2 inches. They look like little daddy long legs on water. But these were some that were coming from the bottom of the river. They'd come, or as you looked over the edge of this raft, you'd see these little bugs come to the surface, get a breath of air, then go back down. And my little brothers go, well, what is it again? I go, it's like an underwater skeeter, like the skeeters that float. I go, well, these guys were coming from the bottom, getting a breath, and then going back down. And so I said, here's one. And both of my little brothers come to the side of the raft I'm on, and just, then here comes the rest of the raft. Everybody ran to one side, and it caused the boat to flip. So into the water we all go. And I don't even know if my little brothers knew how to swim. They were probably 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. And like I say, ice cold water. And we were able to get to the raft. I just told them, swim to the raft, and they were able to kick and stay afloat enough to get back on the raft, and it was upside down now. And then I don't know if we all got back on it and just pushed our way to shore, but we all got off it and went in. And then it was the next day or two we heard about this kid that we knew, went to school with, and he was a lot younger than all of us brothers. But little Briggs Knudsen was his name, and he didn't make it. He fell overboard and got tangled up in what turns out they were trees. They were like scrub oak trees lining the edge of this canyon-like thing where the dump was. And he swam right into the trees and got tangled up in the branches that were just maybe 2 or 3 feet below the surface. But this kid, he couldn't swim through them, and he got all tangled up and probably panicked, and he drowned in that lake. So then they had to drain the lake. I heard we had moved out by then, and then the city decided, they got to blow that canyon open so that water always goes, dissipates down. It doesn't form a little lake. So a little too late for Briggs Knudsen was his name. And that was in Sandy, Utah. Probably, let's see, what year? Good question. If I was 12. probably 65, yeah, or 66. I bet that was 1966. Or more, it was like towards the end of us. We left at 1969, so it probably was more like 68. Yeah, Briggs Knudsen, because we were only there another year, you know. We only stayed that summer, and I think by the next summer we were gone. So that had to be 67, Briggs Knudsen. But anyway, that was a sad story, and I hope did you have the camera on? Was it going? That would be good. Horrible, how about a horrible story? Well, it was horrible to me. Well, I wonder if this idea would be good to let everybody know the horrible things I've seen in my life. I don't know, would that be shameful?
Nah.
I don't know. I mean, just certain things that I found to be horrible. You know, nobody wants to see them, but then talking about them, they'd have to relive it to a point of what I'd seen. So maybe I'll spare that.
What's some of the stuff you've seen?
Well, I don't know. It just has to do with puppies, you know. I mean, dogs and the cruel way they die, and the dogs with distemper, and you know, it just sort of warped me as a human being. I think to see these bunch of little puppies die, and I have trouble with death of little animals like that, you know, like little dogs and pets and our family pets. It was just horrible stories, you know, like the poor little dog. We had one little dog ran across the street in front of a Cadillac coming at 35 miles an hour. Took it head on, well, a little bit of an angle, conked her head, little gypsy we call her, little dog about this big, a little miniature Doberman Pinscher like dog.
Aww.
And she barreled across the street after some dog that was on her lawn. You know, we'd lived in this place for a couple of years, and that was her lawn. Jumped off the stoop where we were sitting and ran across the street just as the car was coming. Bam, knocked her in the head about 35 miles an hour, and I don't know if the dog stayed under the car and it rolled over her, or if she got hit and bounced and ran to the other side. But she ran across the street and hid under the couch for 5 days, and you couldn't get near her. She just growled, and I think we sort of just forgot about her, you know, just like we went about our lives like, oh, I better not get near her. And then she came out of it, you know, lived a couple more years. But good old gypsy, you know, but horrible memories as a boy. You know, they weren't happy, you know, and so you don't hardly ever hear the word gypsy, you know, so we never thought about the dog for many years. But when we started naming animals after the things you've heard before, like simple names like Felix or Tom and Jerry the cat, you know, every time you hear that, you kind of cringe. You go, oh, yeah, I remember that cat that was named that. You know, so I'm at a point right there where I got to name a couple of cats, and don't want to name them things that, you know, they ain't going to be around forever. You know, I got to think about how sad it was. So anyway, let's see, what was I talking about? Let's start a story. I have 100 of them, Brad. Let's see, work. Oh, I can tell you work stories. And where I used to make $1, or where, let's see, where I learned about John Q. Public making contracts, written contracts. However, legally, I find out from these TV shows, unlicensed contracting cannot be honored in court. You know, there's no way I can take a person to court and say, you owe me for that work. Because the first question the judge says is, where's your license? Did you see that one, Brad? It was just on the other day. It was on one of them court shows to where, I think it's where the 3 judges are, the hot bench, they call it. But yeah, there are certain rules that guys live by. Okay, anyway, yeah, what other stories do I got? Well, where was I, Brad? Where was I? Oh, shit. A short story. How about, well, I could tell you the short story. Well, I'm just about them other videos. I had a couple people I called and said, yeah, I'm on YouTube, Babbling Bob, this guy's filming it. You know? So the couple people I did hear from, you know, they just started laughing. Yeah, they said it was pretty funny, and it's the only way they have of getting in touch with me after not seeing them for more than 6 years now. 6 years I haven't been back in California and seen these people. I think my mom, brothers, and then this one guy, Casey, a friend. And hopefully you're watching, Casey, yeah, wherever you are. Or if this don't get edited out, Brad.
It won't.
Or maybe that's what I could say. You know, I could have
there you go. It's going right now.
A few shout-outs, whatever, to some old friends and mom and brothers. brother Raj, who I just talked to the other day. He's doing real good. I hope to talk to him more often. You know, my phone. I got to get a new phone. Is what I need. My phone is going, and didn't do bad on that bargain. So I'm going to get another one similar to it, and maybe I'll do some of that texting. From Texas. That's what they do. They text. Well, let's see. What else? Nothing new, Brad. Jeez, what do I got? I was right in the middle of the story. Thanksgiving was good. Talked to Mr. Hegel, if he looks in on this, Mr. Bob Hegel in Arizona now, transplanted from California. Another guy that escaped. And today, as we speak, they're closing in on 80 degrees. And here in Louisville, it's probably upper 30s, I would bet, right now. So they're living in summer still compared to us. But the problem with that San Bernardino business, is right there, 20 miles from where we were. I did some painting out there, painted a house out in that area. Old farmhouse, not too unlike these designs in this town. Maybe 100-year-old house. But anyway, yeah, there were stories about work. Yeah, I don't have any stories about work. Or I did say I had some work stories, though, just things we did at work. Well, the dirty tricks. It is kind of shameful.
What dirty tricks?
Well, on the job, and I don't know why I did it. These guys, you know, we got to know each other very well. We hung out with each other. You know, we'd go to each other's houses, have barbecues, drinks, parties. You know, Friday nights, and essentially live together. You know, we lived together while working for this company, and I guess we got to know each other pretty good. Well, one time on top of this 50-gallon drum was about 2 inches of dust and just dirt that had settled in the factory. I don't know how much it could have been sawdust. You know, it might have been sawdust and grime, but I couldn't believe it. You know, it was about 2 inches just of pure dust. You know, a real fine. Had floated, you know, it was a couple of 50-gallon drums empty behind this spray booth. We never walked back there. You know, it was dark, and behind the booth, we did all our business on the corner where the light was. You know, we had beers, and we had ice, we had everything we needed, and our paint, of course. But got away with a lot of drinking on that job. But now I'm losing my train of thought again. Oh, but yeah, working at that, there was Paul Dodd's company, the best, one of the first companies I worked at for a long time, you know, a period of about 4 years, and we sprayed lacquers and oils and clear coats on all restaurants, fast food chains that were sprouting up in the 80s, Carl's Jr., Kentucky Fried Chickens, Hardee's, Roy Rogers, and just several corner, you know, fast food joints. Nothing but work every day. We put out a restaurant a day, it seemed like, in the 4 years I was there, easy. And that was the tables, the chairs that sat along the bar, the picture frames, the pictures, maybe the wallpaper, who knows? You know, I mean, they built these restaurants. And I stayed busy, learned my trade of the finishing, of putting the clear coats and spraying and whatnot. And realized I didn't need them. We had a couple layoffs, and when I'd be on a layoff, people would say, "Hey, you want to do my furniture?" Blah, blah, blah. I'd go, "Yeah, why not? I'm not doing anything." You know, I'd make money on the side, and then realized, I better get a compressor of my own. You know, this company, they had one in the corner, and we knew that pumped the air to the spray guns. So I bought my own from a tax return, and then from then on, I was always busy. And then, you know, I realized one thing, Brad, I signed up for this Social Security. Well, I haven't signed for the Social Security, but I was 18 years old when I had to take out an unemployment claim, and they paid me like $80 a month. Seemed like one check a month they gave me, or one a week, or once a month I had to go stand in line, and then they'd give me the month's pay. It was only like $81. And after I got out of that, you know, played it out to the very end, the 16-week extension, whatever it was, and then just, better go find a job, and, you know, maybe something came up. But since then, 18 years old to age 61, now I turned in October, I've never taken unemployment or any other kind of check from the government. You know, never called upon them for unemployment or disability. Of course, now the thing was, there were times I did get disability though. You know, make a liar out of me. In 19, what year was that? That was probably 81, 80 or 81. I might have had a disability claim for breaking of elbow in on cement, breaking elbow on
Ouch.
cement. I will say, slipped and fell like that. So got on some serious pain pills and was out of work for about a year on that one.
Oh, that sucks.
And got disability pay, so that didn't suck. They paid me almost as much as I made per week. So I had a bunch of money coming in without working. And then I wonder if I even had a compressor back then. I don't think I was ready to go on my own back then, because I was still punching a clock. There used to be plenty of jobs where you look in the paper, we need spray painters, we need furniture finishers, or, there was several places. Anytime you could look in the want ads, all right, I'll go and put in an application. But then it got to be a point where there was not much of that. There wasn't no ads in the local paper. But somehow in that I figured, let's see, 61 years old, I'll make me do math now. I should have thought of this ahead of time. 61 years to 18. I figure if I was 21, that's 3 away from 18. And that's
55
40. That's
years
40.
in between.
I would say 43, wouldn't it be? 61 and 18. 3 to make 21, 4 to make 60, 40 to make 60. If it's 20. I don't even know what I'm thinking.
No, it would be 55, because 55 would make that 68, so you're 61,
Yeah,
so...
Yeah, I say 43, 18.
So it'd be 50... 58, I'm sorry.
21 to 61 is 40. And then go backwards, 21 to 18 is 3. So it's 43. It's got to be, seems to me, 43. 43 years, no unemployment, no claim from the government. Well, that disability, I guess I did get disability, and they paid for about a year at 200. Let's see, about 800 a month for a year. About 9,000 probably. So I took a $9,000 claim. But if that's for my insurance, if these other guys, if my insurance doesn't settle, I'm sure this tape will be good for them in evidence in court. But it's my only claim I've ever made or money I've ever taken from the government in 43 years. So let me backtrack that statement then. If that happened in about 1980, let's say, or let's say 81, just to make the math, knock 21 off of 43. So it'd be like maybe 20 and 19. Since I've made a claim. But I could have, I guess. That's what I realized. I could have gone on food stamps or public assistance many years ago. But I just didn't want the government knowing my business. I just thought, them guys want to know too much. Social Security number, they already got it somewhere. But for some reason I didn't sign up. I made enough, let's just say the business I did with my furniture finishing and ultimately house painting. I didn't live bad. Not like a king, but technically in poverty. The numbers put me in poverty. But it seemed like I always, got by. It was like I didn't have a whole lot, but yeah, it was good. Life was good. Life was easy. And of course, I complained too much, I'm sure. So actually, pretty good life. But now, what do we got?
The campgrounds.
Oh, yeah, like a Featherly Park story. Okay, I wonder if I've ever told this story. This would be a good story for children and anybody going camping. Well, one time, you pay your money at the place to go camping. They give you a campfire ring, a picnic table, and off in the distance a shower. There's a little shower area along the footpath, and several hot water, very nice showers, and a place to change. So and it was like $7 a night. And then your friends, anybody that came with you, could get $1.50, get the showers, get to camp overnight to a time limit, and then have to go sleep outside the park, or go home, or wherever they had to go. But there was also places outside the park, a little parking area where you could park overnight, and you would sleep there too sometimes. But this one particular night, I figured, oh, I'm in a hurry. I want my food cooked in my can. I had like canned beans and maybe some hot dogs or sandwiches or something. And I figured I'd leave the can, take the can. I didn't pop a hole in it, but I figured, yeah, start the fire, put the can off to the side of the fire, not in the fire, but put the can, fairly close to the heat, let the fire cook this can. Like I say, I didn't poke a hole in it. I might have had better luck with the pressure, which it turned out that's all it could have been, as I tell you this story. So I go take a shower at the facility, 5, 10, who knows, maybe it was 20 minutes, maybe it was 30 minutes. Could have, in between 20 and 30, we'll say, to be safe. But as I come back, I got no fire burning. The fire pit is cleaned out. I'm thinking, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat them beans, whatever it was in the can. I wanted dinner. And I get back, there's nothing. The fire, just it's empty, like someone took a shovel. But I couldn't see any ashes anywhere. As I walked up, I just go, what happened? And I'm thinking that the can must have blown up. Can of beans blew up, and it blew there was nothing left. There was no can. There was nothing. It was just an empty fire pit. And I looked around, and there was other campers. There was other people. Maybe every 50 feet, there was a little camping area and picnic table and fire ring for the next guy. And so I figured, God, was somebody walking around through here? So I walk over to the guys next to me, or the campfire next to mine. I go, hey, did you guys see anybody? Did anybody walk over there and do anything? And they go, no, we didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. It was just like no campfire, and I had plenty of pieces of wood in there burning, nice good fire. And I thought about it later. Maybe I should have waited and then put the can in, and I should have popped some holes in the can. Taken the can over, some of the pressure. But like I say, it was such an explosion, and maybe it was good nobody was around. Like I say, every 50 feet were people. And I think it was just an average size can. I don't know, maybe it was one of the little fatter ones, but don't exactly remember what it was. But it was a can that I didn't open, leave a slice, nothing. And come to find out, absolutely nothing in the fire pit, just empty, down to dust, big chunks of wood. It was like, yeah, wow. And I don't know if they were strewn about. You think next thing I would have done is looked around to see if they'd blown outside of the ring. And as I think about it right now, I don't remember if there were big chunks of wood, or I have a feeling in my mind it pulverized everything. Just the logs that were in there just evaporated. So I'm thinking the good part of the story, I think I had more food to eat, some other kind of sandwiches, and I didn't die from it, but it was just, I was expecting that was it. After you get out of the showers, you want a nice warm fire, keep you warm, until it's time to go back to bed. So camping was made easy in nice warm weather, but dusty, dusty world, that's Southern California. But now what else? Okay, that's just a warning to everybody. Yeah, never put a can in the campfire. That's the words. Yeah, serious. Or it's the main thing is just never leave anything you're cooking unattended. If you're cooking something, don't walk away. Don't go take a shower. It'll be cooked when I get back. You'll be cooked when you get back. So that one. But yeah, I do have the stories of Featherly, and I hate to go into too much detail, but let's just say one time I was at Featherly and felt an earthquake. I I was on the ground, sleeping on the ground, which was rare, since I had a foam bed and a pad in my car. But one time I had rolled out on the ground, a feather leaf, it was such a beautiful day, we'll say, and was sleeping on the ground and felt an earthquake. And there was an earthquake that started rumbling in a little valley. So it just really put me in tune, or just a day I won't forget, one of my featherly days, and ultimately one of my last days, one of the last days I was ever in the camp and spirit. Eventually met a woman, moved in with a woman, and then started renting other places, started going domestic, living on land, getting off the four wheels, getting out of the sleeping bag, baby, car in your car routine. But always had money, sleeping in the car, you save some money. So I really always had a pile of money, a couple of hundred, if not a couple of thousand, So it was tough. And then we would get jobs, believe it or not, before the age of the cell phone, you'd have a newspaper, and you'd call, the newspaper would have numbers to call, and then I would leave my parents' number, which grandma would answer the phone. So anytime I'd run an ad in the paper, they'd call, talk to grandma, they'd go, oh, this guy's gotta be solid gold, they don't know me from Adam, never met me, but you can just tell they're ready to have their furniture stripped, or this table, or this front door, or they really need someone to do the job for them. And there's nothing I can do except tell them the right price. You still got to be able to tell them the price where they just go, okay, that's good. They want, some people you can just tell they want things done. And like I say, it was good pickings. Oh, and then I got a job. Oh, I don't know. Let me think. I better think of another story. Okay, I'll tell you, brag a little. How I did this. And it turns out the shop was not allowed to strip furniture in the method that I did. The method I use is called hand strip, where you put the stripper on the material, on the wood, let it bubble and eat the finish a little bit, either scrape it off or steel wool it, but then you got to steel wool and lacquer thinner all the woodwork, all the edges of the table, or the legs, or the base. You got to make sure it's washed with lacquer thinner and steel wool, and scratch off all the old finish. And it turns out they call that hand stripping, and it was illegal in the town of Irvine. And but it gets things done. It's just high volume of fumes, high lacquer thinner, which washes that old finish and varnish right down to bare wood. And you just got to wipe it with rags and clean it up, ready for the spray and the finishing oils and whatnot. But the place was not allowed to do it. And one time the boss left me with a table with a big leaf and maybe 6 chairs. And I know he had charged the people $1,500 or $1,800 to do their whole dining room set, strip it, refinish it another color, and I guess maybe just refinish it because the top was all fried, so they just figured, we'll just get new color. But I stripped the whole $1,800 job in one day. My method, I was able in an 8-hour day to strip the table, the leaf, and 6 chairs. Just my method, brushing the stuff on and then steel wooling it and ragging it off, just getting off the old finish. And then and then he had a night shift come in. He had some guys come in about 4 o'clock, and they did the finishing. In there they get to mix the paint and then just spray a coat of clear over everything. The 10-20 minute job for spraying the chairs. And then there's other prep after that. They would either you got to sand the finish though. After you spray it the first time, there's a little bit of sanding or steel wooling, and then you do the final coat. But these guys would get all the glory, so he'd get his $1,800 set of furniture done in 2 days. And I was the guy that did the stripping, and then the Mexican fellows they did the spraying on the night shift, and got all the glory the next morning when the furniture was sitting there all brand new, ready to go back to the customer, who's going, hey, where's my furniture? So they said, yeah, it's here. That's $1,800. You know, so I started thinking, well, that's got to be 500 for the table. Shit, I wouldn't even have charged that much if I'd done it myself. But this guy was a licensed contractor or a licensed business guy to run a stripping refinishing business. And I did that one for him. And I think I worked there for maybe, I never worked at one place too long, maybe 6 months. Worked for this guy. And did a lot of furniture, and one finish. And then I'm lucky I found another little technique the other day, even that was new to my furniture finishing and stain application jobs. This one called gel stain, but I'll tell you about that later. But at this one, the first guy, Buzz was his name, Buzz in Irvine, California. Buzz Evans was his name, Irvine, California. Touch of Magic. They had this old method of finishing something that made the paint look all crackled and old and ancient. So you could take a brand new table with the right kind of formation of lines and legs and paint it in one color, or let me think. Oh yeah, I think you paint a background color. Then they got this stuff called LePage's glue that you used to, I don't know if they used to use them on letters, or I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a weird LePage's glue. It was usually had that little rubber thing on the end of a glass bottle, and as you bent it, the opening would let out the glue on your paper. But LePage's, anyway, they had this clear glue that they would spread on the painted wood. Now it was a background white, let's say. And then I'm thinking, then they were tricky though. They'd put gold paint on it sometimes. But then, so you put this LePage's on, and then they would put another latex coat over that, and it would cause the glue coat to start crackling. And then you could see underneath the wood, you could see, it made it look like this is what it was finished like before. It'd be cracked, and you could kind of see what color or what it looked like, years ago underneath all this crackling. And so that's why they went gold. You'd spray it gold, and then when this white color would crackle, you could see little spots, crackles of gold here and there, and you go, wow, is that table gold underneath? It was a good trick, to make you think someone was just covering it up to hide it. So it was pretty trippy, and a crackle finish. But I never used it. I never used that technique ever again after being in this shop. And at the time, I just thought, oh man, that's the coolest stuff ever. But at that shop, I had done a whole set of furniture like that too. A whole table, chairs, leaves, and I don't know if the tabletop. Sometimes we leave the tabletops just natural wood. But on that one, I can't remember. But that crackle effect was bad. Like Walt Disney. I don't know if you've ever been to Disneyland. They do little tricks like that all the time. Little fake tables and fake antiques and old looking. Well, that's another story. I can tell you about Disneyland. We spent a lot of time there in our youth. Most kids, and then come to find out that's the dream of most kids. Your kids hound you on that, Brad?
Yeah, they've never been there yet. We're going to take them.
Is that right? Yeah. When I was their age, we were able to drive there, walk there. Of course, I never walked or walked home, and I heard of friends that did walk home. One guy. Well, I guess I could tell you that. The acid story. One guy we know, he took acid, went to Disneyland, and he said everybody's face started looking like a monkey. He couldn't believe it. Just thought everybody at Disneyland looked like a monkey, to where he couldn't take it, and he had to leave. So he said he walked home from Anaheim to, well, it was the outskirts of Garden Grove, but it wasn't technically Anaheim now. Who knows? But he had to walk a good 3 or 4 miles to get home. And he says as he walked home, there were more people on the street. I don't know if they'd stop him and look at him or say anything. But he just said, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Everybody on the walk home looked like monkeys too.
Have you ever had a bad acid trip?
I never have. No. Never had anything, that sticks in your mind to go, oh man, what was that? I mean, they were all kind of edgy, you know. They were all kind of like you drank too much coffee, you know, for the first half hour, 45, maybe even first hour or two that you're getting on the stuff. You know, you're real edgy, just you know, you're uncomfortably. But we always had beers, you know. You always had beer or some wine, and it takes some of the edge off of it. Uh, but there were times, yeah, there was one funny story. Well, we'd go up in the canyon. You know, somehow it was nice to be in a car and be driving out of the city, you know, not staying in one place. So, as in my youth, and I swear this was before I was of driving age, you know, before I was 16, probably before I'm 17 years old, we would, well, we would take that LSD, you know, and go out in the woods. Well, at one time, me and this guy were out in the woods, and he found a wire that looked like a handle to a pot and a pan. You know, it looked like a frying pan handle, a strange little bent wire that went like, you know, it was a handle, and then it went like this. Well, he found it, and you know, and he was on acid too, and he looks at it, he goes, "Wow, the claw. Look, it's a claw." He goes, "Yeah, someone could just sneak up behind you." You know, and he was kind of just tripping out, you know, just going, "Yeah, it's a claw." And so just as he picks it up and starts saying this stuff, we see a woman in the background with a flashlight coming up. "Today, what do you got there? You know, what do you got there?" You know, and she starts getting in his face. "Hey, what's that need?" He had put it behind his, you know, by that time he sees this lady coming, he puts the piece of metal behind his back. "Oh, what do you got there? What do you got there?" she says, you know, and she's looking him over with her flashlight, and I'm just standing back watching. And then he goes, he finally just pulls it out, you know, he goes, "It's a claw. It's a claw," you know. He's like, I say, we're flying by now, you're seeing things, or just you're in that wire.